Welcome to Vision Television, where truth counts.
Welcome to yet another episode of Exposed, where we handle real-life issues from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, Ruth Wanja, and today we'll be discussing a very interesting topic. If you'd like to contribute to this topic, you can get in touch with us on our Facebook pages, VTV Kenya at VTVKE is our Twitter handle, and also our East Assembly pages at East Assembly Church and East_Assembly. Yeah. On set today, I'm joined by Pastor Gilbert Isabwa, Teens Pastor at East Assembly Church.
Yes,
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm also joined by Pastor Joshua Kiruma, Reverend, who is also an associate pastor at East Assembly Church. Yeah. Welcome to the show. We'll be handling soul ties. And
yes.
Pastor Gilbert,
yes,
what are soul ties?
Well, soul ties is it's a commitment that you make or a vow that you take that binds you together, and it goes beyond the physical binding to the spiritual binding of each other. So it's a vow or commitment that you can make and bind yourself spiritually together. Yeah.
You're binding yourself together with who or what?
It depends with who you're binding yourself together with, because they say a man shall leave his home and a woman, and the two shall come together and become one. So they'll bind themselves together, and through that, spiritually, they become one.
Okay, and Pastor Joshua, what is a soul, as we define soul ties?
For me, a soul is the immaterial part of a human being. And for me, what goes into the immaterial part is the mind, the emotion, and the spirit, for those that accommodate that. Theologically, there has been a number of arguments for soul, for the spirit. And in order to be able to define body, soul, and spirit, a lot of arguments have gone into that. But let me place two of them. There's one school of thought that believes that the human aspect has body and soul.
Okay.
Body like the physical body, the head, the shoulder, and the rest. And then soul relating to the mind, the emotion, and the spirit. There are those that are in the second school of thought who believe in body, soul, and spirit.
Okay.
In my opinion, body again relates to the physical body, the shoulder, the legs, and the rest. The soul relates to the human aspect, purely human aspect, which means the emotion and the mind. Then comes the spirit, which is the third. However, in this case, the spirit comes to life after we've given our lives to Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And so for me, that's where the differences come in.
Wow. Amazing definition right there. So, as we talk about soul ties, what are good soul ties? Are there signs of good ones or bad soul ties?
Yeah, of course, there are signs of good soul ties and bad soul ties. Good soul ties, probably, if I may say, marriage. Marriage is a good soul tie, where the two unite and become one to start a family together. Okay. There are also signs of good soul tie in friendships. There are some friendships that you're committed to work together and serve together on a particular cause, and you walk that journey together. Well, there are also other examples of bad soul ties. There are people who have sold themselves to the devil, and they have committed their hearts, their body, their soul, their spirit to the things of the devil, and they want to follow that channel and move in that direction. Yeah.
Wow. So as you talk to us about, let me just go to your point. When you talk to us about bad soul ties, maybe you can break it down for us when you say there are people who have committed their lives to the devil. Who would that be?
You know, in this society that we live in, there's a lot of pressure in order to be successful, to have that life, that good life that is so exposed or it's flashed out there in the
Flamboyant.
media. Yes, that kind of lifestyle. So with that pressure, so many people want to achieve that, but they can't. It's difficult for them. So they opt to go to demonic altars to go make these commitments together with, in order for them to get the material wealth they want. So they give themselves to the devil. They go to these demonic altars and offer sacrifices, and they commit themselves to the things of the devil, so that they can gain, or rather they can have wealth.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So, Pastor Joshua, when we talk about soul ties, and you tell us the mind and the body, the body is separate from the soul. So we're talking about the mind. In this case, it's the intellect and the spirit, the soul.
And
the soul is the mind, the will, and the emotion. How does that relate to how we manage our relationships in terms of defining how they eventually now become soul ties?
I'd go into the logic that relates to the quality of contact. For instance, in real life, we do have people that we contact frequently, and we know that there are people that we can sort of put in the soul tie to it and say, I feel like she or he is wired for me and I'm wired for them. And the idea that comes in here is a working relationship or a working soul tie. The thought I'm trying to put in is soul tie should not be just a level of connectedness that is not mutual. Yeah,
both parties.
It should be for both parties, and again, it should also have a working aspect to it. There should be something that the two are working towards. So, for me, that gives a basis for building towards that soul tie.
And what makes the difference between any relationship and a soul tie, Pastor Gilbert?
The level of the commitment and the vows that have been taken for that relationship. So, it's like the vows that you take to be committed into this relationship, that stands out. And then it involves also the spiritual aspect of it, that you are into this thing, even with your spirit, with your body, with your mind. The whole of you is into this thing. And so that's something that you can just break away from. Or but it's beyond just agreement, and it's just beyond agreement, and it's commitment, and you're vowed, things like that. Yeah.
As you talk about the spirit, Pastor Joshua, is there like a godly soul tie where you can consider that to be a godly soul tie?
Yeah, it will boil down, for me, it will boil down to quality. What quality of soul tie are we talking about? If we are saying soul is the emotion, if we are saying soul is the mind, then obviously the quality of connectedness has a lot to do with how much it complies to godliness. For me, I wouldn't call soul tie, healthy soul tie, one that is probably leading you to corruption, or one that is leading you to do something wicked, or engage the spirit world in a non-biblical way. For me, that wouldn't pass for a soul tie. Because soul ties should have an element of, in my opinion, accountability, but going beyond that and not just going for a yes person around yourself. Saying that there's a connectedness and all you're looking for is someone who will keep affirming you till the end. For me, that doesn't pass for a soul tie. A soul tie should be one that should be able to enhance one's relationship or one's quality of life.
So according to your definition, there's nothing like an ungodly soul tie. Soul ties should be godly. Is that what you're saying?
They should be godly.
Wow. Pastor Gilbert, do you agree with that school of thought?
No, not really. Yes.
Are they ungodly soul ties?
Yes. They are ungodly soul ties. There are soul ties that are committed to, you take a vow in regards to doing evil, like the terrorist, or those people who commit these terrorist things and crimes. They take vows to remain into those groups, and that vow goes beyond just a commitment, a verbal commitment, but it involves also the spiritual commitment. and they take vows to cause destruction. So those are ungodly soul ties. I believe these people get involved in. Yes. Apart from that, also people go to altars, demonic altars, and they make soul ties with demons, and they agree to do certain things that will affect them spiritually. And those are some of the requests that they are given by these demons. They have to do
Comply.
them. Yeah.
I've had cases of people saying, like testimonies of people who were in devil worship before.
Yeah.
And they say that when they are in devil worship, they are told they should not, for instance, talk about it. They should not say, this is what our commitment is, when they are still there. How do people end up in some of these situations, probably without knowing?
Well, mostly is with knowing. They enter into them knowingly, mostly. A few cases maybe unknowingly they enter into them, but mostly they enter into them knowingly. But probably they don't know the exact extent of the soul tie that they have given themselves into. So eventually in life it affects them negatively, and then they discover how deep they have been involved, and they are engaged in these activities, and then it becomes a problem in their lives. Yeah.
Wow. Are they really, Pastor Joshua, soul ties or body ties? There's a verse in the Bible that says whoever joins himself together with a prostitute becomes like him, one like them. So is that a soul tie or is that a body tie?
Well, it started off with the body before it became a soul tie. However, the authenticity of the word soul tie, I'm imagining whoever coined that word, or if we are to turn that word into a popularly known word or a codex of some sort. I know most of us would love to use soul tie for something positive. And for me, what we probably should be talking about is authenticity of the soul tie itself. If we are talking about authentic soul tie, then we should be talking about a soul tie that enhances godliness. Again, I still go back to godliness. A soul tie that doesn't go for corruption. A soul tie that keeps it relationally right. And for me, authenticity is very, very important with regard to soul tie.
Let's talk about how people connect in the mind, in the will, and in the emotion, as we now try and see how these soul ties relate. But before we do that, I think we'll be taking a short break. Then we'll come back and do that definition. I want to believe you're enjoying the show. We'll be having a short break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Vision Television, where truth counts.
Welcome back to the show. We are having an interesting discussion on soul ties, and I want to believe that you are enjoying. Pastor Gilbert, you are defining for us about how the will, the mind, and the emotion connects to the soul tie.
I don't think there's anyone who can define it really nicely.
How is it like, okay, is it a choice? Because when you talk about the will, it's you either choose to get into that soul tie or not. And in your earlier description, you talked about how some people find themselves joining.
Yes. You
and
can
some
find yourself.
are not out of willingness.
Yes. Like I gave an example. Like there are some parents who probably have been wanting to have a child, and they couldn't get a child, and they have gone to doctors, and they have been tested, pruned, all those things, and eventually they think they are going to a witch doctor might help them, so they go to this demonic altar. They don't not know it's a demonic altar.
So that's unknowingly.
But
so it's an act of the will.
Yeah. So the parents go to this demonic altar, and things are done, and eventually they conceive. Now that child.
It works. So it works.
Yes.
According to
them, it works. According to the expectation, it works, and they get a child. And now that child has been blessed through that demonic altar.
So is that a curse? Is that like a curse or something?
Yes. Because that child, they went to that demonic altar to seek for a solution to get a child. And through what they did there, they opened doors that allows Satan to have his right over that child.
Wow.
So when that child is conceived, that child that child belongs to Satan himself.
Whoa. The child belongs to Satan.
Yes.
That is very serious.
He has an open door to demonic activities in his life. So it's like his soul is tied to that altar of demons or name them, those bad things.
Wow.
Where the child was, where the parents went to consult in order to get that child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sex and how two bodies unite, and the most teaching about soul ties is related to sexual intercourse. How does it work that two people who are joined together, they have sexual intercourse and their souls are tied? I've had a school of thought where people say when you get tied up to this person, it's like you're carrying that person and many other people that you slept with along. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I've also had the same argument. I've had an argument where a guy describes a scenario where an individual, if it's a lady, for instance, she's probably had like 7 relationships in the past and carries the extra baggage into the new relationship. And some people, they don't really call it soul ties, but there may be some soul tie to it. However, I wanted to talk about 2 things. Before it ends up in sex, there must have been signs. There must have been premeditated thoughts, premeditated motivations, premeditated processing before it gets to sex. And by that, I'm looking at a normal relationship. Should there be 2 people who are interested in one another, they'll probably go through motions. They'll send signals that
Emotions.
I care, I love, and all that. And eventually it ends up in a relationship. And then, obviously, when there's harmony till the end, then they'll end up getting married. For me, sex starts making sense in a marriage context. In fact, one of the materials that I've ever interacted with, from a person who's an expert, talks about regulating sex within a family setting and regulating sex through marriage. And so for me, when we talk of soul ties through sex, family comes in as a very strong tool to even discuss the issue of soul ties. However, I want to say, if a relationship is purely defined by sex, and the Bible here says if 2 people sleep together, then there's some connectedness, there's some kind of soul
Unity.
tie. For me, it brings back the idea of authenticity. We should be talking about authentic soul tie. We should be talking about a family setting where a husband and a wife have sexual soul tie, so to say.
Ah.
I don't
But
really quite understand.
the reality is he's talking about the positive angle of a soul tie should be godly, and godliness is defined in family. But the reality is, by the time people get to that family setting, they've had multiple. Some
Yes,
have
they
had
have.
multiple sexual partners.
You know when sex is such an intimate thing, it's intimate and spiritual. I'm married, and you know, when you have sex, your whole being is involved in this thing. Your body, your mind, your soul, and it's an intimate thing. It's like you intertwine your spirit to this person that you're having sex with, and this and sexual sins affect our conscience and our emotions, and we carry them for the rest of our lives. We carry our sexual sins in our emotions and in our wills. We carry them for the rest of our lives. So the partners that you have slept with, you will carry them for the rest of your life. They will be in your subconscious mind. You will remember you had sex with these people. You connected with these guys. So I believe when they say at soul ties come through sex, that's what they meant. That when you have sex, it affects your emotion. It affects you, carry it for the rest of your life.
But
In your
is it
subconscious
like,
mind.
Is it like people don't realize that, or is it an issue of immorality that people don't even think about it, then realize the consequence later?
Yeah, of course, people don't think about it like that. Or they know that, but they do not want to follow that. Probably they want to follow the desires of their flesh and what their hearts want them to do. So eventually they end up doing such things, not knowing they're hurting themselves, because they're going to carry these scars, and emotional wounds are difficult to heal. There's some things that were done to you in class 2, and they affected your emotions till now, you remember them. Unfortunately, they're negative things, most of them. So the same happens with sex. It affects our emotion, and we can carry it for the rest of our life.
Is that so, Pastor Joshua? I'm thinking of a situation where someone has probably they want to change. They want to be that perfect family. They want to start a family, but they have this kind of a past where they had different kind of multiple sexual partners, and they seem to be having that baggage and backlog from their past. How do you deal with this?
I'd look at it from the idea of long-term and short-term decisions to actually realize that goal. Assuming that you had a sexual past and you have a liking for certain people or certain clusters of people that you did love, and to this day you still have some love for them, my idea will be, number one, there's got to be that lasting decision that we make towards a certain direction. Should we say that from today onwards, I want to give up like multiple sexual encounters? It shouldn't be a decision you make for 2 weeks only. And then after 2 weeks, you're thinking, okay, maybe it's good for me to go back to sexual encounters. It should be something that we do for a lifetime, something that we do till the day we
But
meet
how
our
do you
God.
do it? Because there's a way you got into it, and at times it's, Pastor Gilbert, difficult. And I'm not necessarily even talking about a prostitute, because multiple sexual partners would mean you're sleeping with many people at the same time. I'm talking about you dated this guy when you were in high school, you slept with them, you finished high school, you dated another guy, it didn't work out, but you had slept with them in campus, like that, when you started working. So you've had like 3 or 4 relationships, and all of them and then now you want to settle down. So in that particular context, how does one deal with it? How does one cut that ungodly soul?
You know, sex is a habitual sin. And once you engaged in it, and it opens a door, and it starts creating a habit if you keep on engaging in it. And breaking habits take a long while to break. So sex is like that. It's a habitual sin that will take a long while to break that habit. You really have to work at it. You really have to...
How?
You need a counselor to help you, or a spiritual person to help you on the walk. Number one, you need to stop having sex. You need to stop having sex. You need to look at what triggers you in regards to having sex with the person that you're having sex with. What makes you want to have sex with them? So those are the things you need to start addressing. Those things that make you feel you want to have sex with this person.
For instance,
love will draw you to have sex.
You're dating this person, so
Yes.
you're with them.
Yes.
So there are people in today's world who don't understand how you're dating and you're not sleeping with this person. So what is the relationship all about? Pastor Joshua had something to say.
Yeah, I have something to say. For me, there should be an intentional decision on the part of the person who's recovering to target who should be missing them and who should she be missing, or who should he be missing. There's the idea of having good emotional life. Good emotional life demands that, for instance, if you have a soul tie that is authentic, a soul tie that is right, a soul tie that wouldn't get you into problems, you want to make sure that this person is close to yourself. You keep missing them and they keep missing you. However, if we dictate that the miss you or I miss you, miss me idea is taken into a corrupt setup, trust me, it will work, but it will bring up other results. If you go, let's say, into a homosexual relationship, or if you go prostituting yourself, the miss you feeling will come in. But then we have to keep redirecting. For me, the key thing is keep the emotion high, make sure there's someone missing you, make sure you're missing someone, but do it the right way. Keep it scriptural. Make sure that your emotions are directed to someone that's
Where
healthy.
does the
and
church
someone that's
come in,
good.
and spirituality, deliverance, where we untie someone from these ungodly soul ties and break the powers of darkness over this person? For instance, in the case of this person who went to the witch doctor, what is the role of the church and the pastor?
You know, the church talks a lot about the spiritual aspect of life and what the devil is doing. The church is well aware that the devil is alive and well, and he's after Christians, and he wants to ruin and make their lives miserable. That's what we know. And we also know that the devil has spirits that he's sending to people, and one of them is the sexual spirit. And once that spirit gets to you, that spirit opens the door for you in regards to sex. Now you'll be having sex with anyone. So what normally the church now comes in, me as the pastor, if I identify that you actually have that spirit, that demonic, immoral spirit, I need to work with you in order to help you. First, we cast out that spirit, then to help you to get out of the habit of having sex. Yes.
So it's actually connected. The soul and the spirit are actually connected.
They are connected. They are connected. You can't separate them. It's too hard to separate them. So the soul and the spirit are connected together. Yeah.
So in conclusion, as we want to help our viewers to understand this whole issue of soul ties, what would you encourage them to do so that they can have godly soul ties and avoid ungodly ones?
Well, I encourage them to be careful first. Be careful who you commit yourself to and who you want to make these vows to. I mean, you really need to know this person you're making these vows to and you're committing yourself to. And make sure all the commitments and the vows that you take them on a godly way, not on demonic altars. Don't go to consult spirits or evil or witchcraft or witch doctors and things like that to help you achieve something in your life. Because all those represent demonic altars. Go to God, pray to God, ask God to help you through that situation.
Wow.
And wait for God to come through for you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Pastor Joshua, in a second, what would you encourage the people out there to do so that they can enhance godly soul ties?
Okay. So, as I was saying, in conclusion, for me, what really carries the day is like he gave a definition on soul ties. For me, two things will stand out. Keep your vows right. Get the right people around yourself, because that matters a lot.
Yeah.
Number two, there's the issue of modeling. Whatever soul tie you do, think about scripture, think about how you'll model to the community what truly soul tie should be representing. Keep it scriptural, let the Holy Spirit help you, and we are praying for our community.
Wow. I believe you have enjoyed the show tonight, and our encouragement to you is that you need to have the right kind of people around you. The Bible says bad company corrupts good morals. So even as you engage, as you date, as you plan to get married, join yourself with the right person and allow sexual relations to just come after marriage so that you can have godly soul ties. Also, in your life, as you have challenges, do not consult funny altars that are going to lead you to the demonic world through music and other avenues. Learn to seek God and come to church and be with us and fellowship with us that your life may be transformed. Have a good night and God bless you. I've been your host, Ruth Wanja, and this is Exposed. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Vision Television, where truth counts.